Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be going through this post by Nick Desbarats, making over a chart that was is a creative chart, but it really didn't do a good job of expressing the insights. And so I came across this post today by Nick, and so I wanted to try to recreate the good chart in Power BI. So this is the bad chart right here, and this is the good chart. So basically, this is, it's kind of a creative thing where it's got the years of education required by different European countries. And then they've got some call outs here in terms of insights and insights here. Nick expressed, he goes through and kind of goes through and, says, here's where the problems are in this visual. I'm not going to go and repeat all of them, but, things like, I have call it ignorant American, but I have no idea what almost most of the probably over half of these flags represent, right? I have no idea. So unless you know what all the Balkans look like, this you can't see this insight. Countries don't climb up steps, right? Comparing the number of countries in each group is a bit unobvious because, right, these things are on different levels. So anyway, so he goes through and he points out some of the flaws in that. And then he offers this as a basically a better version of that, right? So what I did is I tried to recreate this in Power BI. And so you can see that this was my attempt right here. So I think the only thing I didn't include was like a title of like, he has this compulsory years of education differs wildly among European countries. That's easy enough to add through a text, right? That's not difficult. We just have to move all these down and then add that in. I'm not going to bother with that. But so I think this is a pretty good representation. Sorry, here you go. So I've got the insight here, that insight right there. Got the line, I've got this insight up here with kind of including all of it. I've got the same axis, right? And then I've got, each of the countries listed here. Now, it was not easy to get there. And I'm not going to recreate this from scratch, but I'll go and point out the various different pieces and parts of this, right? This is just a text visual, right? That's all it is, text box. This is actually a picture. I went into Visio. I created this. I did a screen capture of it, saved it out as an image, and imported it because I don't know of any way to actually get anything even remotely like that in Power BI. It's the same story with this, right? Because this is a text visual, I can bold and make this a different color than the rest of the text. And then this is another Visio, went in Visio and created this, right? And then you have to kind of scale it and get it correct and get it correct. So those are the easy parts, if you will. So this main visual right here. So you're thinking, what is it? It is a stacked column chart. That's what it is. And what I did in here, the years of education, is in the x-axis. Now, to get the sorting correct, right? Obviously, I had my 8 years. I had created this where I basically kind of did a duplicate of it, split the column, saved off just the number portion of it. Then I could use this as a sort by column for years of education, right? I didn't bother renaming stuff and making it look nice. Wasn't worried about those kind of details. So now, and I have the country as the legend. But I've got the legend turned off, obviously. And then my measure is just, in this case, it's 2. I was trying to do some experimentation, but it's literally just, you can be any constant. It doesn't matter. So that's what I did. Now the way this all works, and I'll show you what's going on here. So now it's not columns. It is, the legend. No, not the legend. Yeah, columns. So one of the big things was, so if you go and you select all, like you can't select a color for all the colors, okay? And so I thought I was going to have to go through every single one of these, right? And specify that I want it to be white. But I found a better solution. I can pick all, and I just put the transparency to 100%. So as you can see, if I don't do that, you can see there's the stacked column chart, right? So now it's an easy way to get rid of that. So get rid of all those colors and all of that. And then what you can do is you can go down to data labels, go down to value, and then put in first country right down there. So that is what I had in terms of, and they show up in the middle by default, which is nice. So there you have it. There you go. Now let's see. Now the other part of that is the conditional formatting. So I wanted those to be blue. So in my data I had, if the is Balkans is yes, then it's blue. If it's not, then it's no. So you can see that I have that in the data, that column is Balkans yes or no, years of education, country, right? So that is the main graphic, if you will, and that's how that gets created. Now, what's unfortunate is, and it's the one kind of thing that I couldn't do, that the other visual has, is that I couldn't get these to be bolded, right? Because there's no way to conditionally bold something or conditionally or not conditionally bold something, at least not that I'm aware of, right? I don't have any kind of conditional formatting for any of this kind of stuff, only color, right? So a little disappointing, but not the end of the world. Okay, so now how did I get this line, this axis line? Well, this axis line is just a line. It's not actually part of the graph. I played around with the grid lines component and tried to do kind of conditional formatting, turning these grid lines on and things like that. Yeah, it just was not happening for me. So I just ended up just ignoring them and turning them off. So that was that, and I couldn't get it to work. But what I did, so I just ended up doing was putting in a line in here. So this is just literally just a line. And now the nice thing about the line, there is one nice thing about the line that was kind of nice. And it's something, it's not the fill that you have to change the color of and change, it's the border with a line. So I changed it to black. Now it does, in terms of the width, it does allow a decimal value. So I think it defaults to 1 pixel, which is a little too big for what I wanted and what Nick's graph was showing. But it did allow me to drop it down to a 0.25 width. You do have to type that in. If you'd use this arrow button over here, it only goes up by increments of like 1, 2, 3 whole numbers essentially. And then obviously you can format, this x-axis so that like your values, bold, and make sure, we're using the same font and the same size for basically the title and that. So yeah, I mean, that in a nutshell are all the different pieces and parts to make this visual. A lot of tweaking, a lot of trying to figure things out and how to do it exactly. But in the end, I think it came out pretty well compared to, if I can get the right Alt tab. Compared to this, I think it looks pretty decent. But yeah, that's how you do that in Power BI. I think it was kind of a nifty little problem. I thought it was originally was going to involve a matrix or something like that, but then I kind of thought up, well, what if I used a stacked column chart and use data labels, and it's actually worked out pretty cleanly for the most part. So that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.